Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am BorderWise, and welcome back to From the Depths, Let's Build, where once again I am attempting to build a CRAM bomber, but this time it's a shotgun CRAM bomber, because apparently I like the whole shotgun thing. I'm not certain what I was thinking when I was doing this, but for those of you who don't know, I have never built a CRAM bomber that I really like. The closest thing I've ever managed is building airships that are armed with CRAM cannons, which generally work a lot better. And it's frustrating because I get the sense that either I'm missing something obvious, or that a lot of people have misinformed me as to how useful CRAM bombers actually are, because I swear, I've never built one that I'm truly happy with, and I've never really seen one that I'm truly happy with. But people still swear by them, so I don't know. I really don't know. And spoiler alert, the bomber that you see being, well, built in this video right now, it hasn't really changed anything because, well, it's a bit of a flop. It just does not end up the way I want it. And so yeah, I did learn a little bit. Like, I am going to have another go at this because I really, really want to. But there are a number of things I did wrong and didn't do quite right and all that stuff. And but one of the things I did do okay with is, like, you can see here that I'm doing layered 3D Tetris, the 6-connection Tetris that I'm quite fond of. And we're gonna just roll with that in order to make it somewhat efficient, not brilliantly efficient. And, excuse the burp, I just ate coffee. But, yeah, so you can see here that I'm kind of, like, flicking back and forth, and just, it always helps when you're making a CRAM prefab to just kind of check that everything connects up the way you want it to. And in this case, we got problems here because, like, the problem with the kind of 6-connection 3D Tetris that I use is that it tends to have a lot of, like, payload compactors in it, which is a problem, because it means that if the setup is too small, the thing takes forever to reload, which you wouldn't think is a problem for a CRAM cannon, but in practice, you don't want it to take forever to reload. You want to take it just long enough to reload. And so about 30 seconds is about okay for a bomber. And so we're doing the frag shotgun thing. Did I already put the fuses? No, I didn't. So there you go. That's all you need. And bang. Didn't even see the fragments. And then it takes donkey's age to reload. So I'm going to be using the, I guess, the debug option to basically make the CRAM cannon reload a little bit faster, just to be absolutely sure that things go well. And first off, we're testing it, I believe, against... No, I remember now. I remember what I was doing. I was thinking about, alright, let's test it against something like a Bastion first, but nope. It's tradition to shoot at the Marauder first, and as you can see right there, that really didn't do that much. And that's going to take a donkey's age to reload, so we do that. What did that do? Not a hell of a lot. Really not a hell of a lot. So, what I decided to do here, in order to have more boom, is take that and essentially prefab it and then slap it on top, which has increased the reload speed, and yeah, so like, you know, we got more damage per frag now, which is nice. Yeah, reasonably material efficient, but, you know, it's a shotgun, those numbers are just guidelines. So that's a little bit better. And now, what are you doing, BorderWise? It's always fun to... now we're dropping the frag angle even more, just to see what happens. One of the problems that I have with CRAM bombers is that I keep, weirdly enough, like, here's the thing. Building the weapon system first is a good way to build, and, like, I'm not saying it isn't, but it's not always the best way to build. It depends on what kind of craft you want, and if you want something, like, of a specific size and shape, it's often better to start with the hull and then jam a weapon into it. Like, I've had success either way, like, particularly when I want a certain level of firepower, and that's the priority, start with the weapon, and, yeah, if you want a certain size and within a certain cost limit, it's best to start with the outside first. And this is me testing against something a little bit bigger. So the problem with the, you can immediately see with this shotgun cram bomber thing, is that it's going to be kind of terrible against armored targets. Though it's not that bad, it is putting holes through a bulwark. And the advantage of those fragments is that, you know, they bounce off shields, they bounce off armor, but active defenses don't do anything against them, which is very convenient. And you'll see I'll be testing this against a Megalodon, so at the very least the concept is sound, but I really do need to get the hang of, like, putting the right kind of thing on it. Because I find with bombers you can't make them too big. If you make them too big, you might as well just make an airship and just roll with that instead. And so we are spawning in Meg from accounting. We spawned her too far away and at the wrong angle, so that was silly. So, and that search function is so good in the load menu. It's brilliant. So now we're setting this up, and for the record, the lambs on the Meg is really formidable, and if those weren't shotguns, I don't think a single one of those cram shots would have gone through, because those cram cannons are not particularly big. So yeah, that is a point in their favor, is that they can put scratch marks on the Meg and make a bit of a mess. And yeah, keeping in mind that those that shotgun blast is coming from above and will go through the deck armor rather than, you know, rather than the side armor, which tends to be a lot thicker. So yeah, like, the principle is sound. I'm almost certainly gonna eventually make a shotgun bomber that I like. But today was not it. You can immediately tell this thing is going to be already kind of bigger than I want it to be, which is always the problem with bombers. But the problem is that I'm not sure why I decided to have multiple cram cannons. Probably for redundancy or something like that. But yeah, it's a problem. It is a problem. What I've done here. I was experimenting with, like, armoring the thing properly, because, like, fun fact about bombers, if they're going to be flying over the top of something, they do need to be armored correctly. So I actually spend a little bit of time here just ensuring that the underside of this bomber is nice and thick, like 2 layers of metal, a layer of beam slopes, and then another 2 layers of metal. And that's a part of the problem, I think, with this design, is that all that metal makes it heavy, and also means it doesn't float well, which means that it has a hard time getting out of the water. I don't think this bomber actually can get out of the water on its own by the end of the video, and it never will. And because I'm not going to finish it, I'm not coming back to this. Okay, so you see I kind of hesitated on the wedges a bit, and then at right there I wake up and go like, hang on, we can orientate them a little bit better so they're not broken up so much. So that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. And certainly this thing is tough. Intriguingly, in the later combat tests for this, it tends to get hit from the side more than the bottom. So, like, maybe this isn't even the best armor for a topsider, so to speak. Oh boy. Wait, is it a topsider? This is a bottom-sider, because it's got its bottom facing towards the enemy. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I am very thankful that people, the last time I tried to educate people about armor, I got educated a little bit instead. People told me about beam slopes. Beam slopes are great. And yeah, so you can already see this thing is already much larger than I like to build any kind of airplane. So yeah, not ideal, not ideal, not ideal. And I have apparently a horrible habit of not planning out engines properly. So that includes custom jets. So really, if you're going to be building an aircraft, it really helps to, like, if you're going to start with the internals, build all of them first before you futz around with the hull. So I'm doing things kind of out of order, or at least out of recommended order, and that's no bueno, senor and senora. So in the end, this is kind of like built more like a ship than an aircraft, which is kind of why I think it is a bit of a failure. So it's very tough. Like it ends up like, you know, like a plunderer is unable to shoot it down, which is, I don't know, it's not the best because plunderer doesn't really have that good AA, but it's not what I want in a bomber. It's not what I want at all. I need an Air Force. Part of the reason I was wanting to build this, by the way, is because the whole CRAM Neater playthrough I'm doing, which I highly recommend watching because it's hilarious. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I might stop having fun once I get to past the Deepwater Guard and some more cram-proof fractions. Fractions? Math, I hate it. But once I start getting to factions which are a little bit more cram-proof, so basically any faction beyond the Deepwater Guard, really, I might be having some troubles, especially with anything that has satellites or fast aircraft in general or submarines. I'm gonna need to specially design things in order to deal with that, and that's gonna take work. Ah, boy, that's gonna take a lot of work. So yeah, that's kind of why this is like, you know, being built. And, yeah, you know, I do want a cram bomber. You can't do a cram-only run of Niter and not have at least one cram bomber. An attempt at a cram bomber. So I am going to be attempting this again. By the way, oh, you know, this is not the last you've seen of this Let's Build little series. I'm going to try again, dang it. Yeah, but might adjust my expectations a little bit. And adjust my whole strategy, because this thing is too fat. It's too fat, I don't like it. I don't like making fat planes. I like thin planes. Because thin planes are, you know, they're kind of sleek. I should really just make a sky canoe and call it a day. Also, I'm not sure why I put slopes there. I guess I just really like slopes. Like, if the thing was smaller, this kind of hull shape would, like, be perfectly fine. But it's big and chunky, and so it's not so fine. I've been experimenting with decent cram cannons that are essentially just 2 meters tall. So that's potential, I guess. But yeah, so it's like this is one of those Let's Builds. It's funny, like I do kind of pride myself on these videos. I guess all my videos actually. Like, you see my failures as well as my successes. In fact, it's mostly failure, and that's the whole point of this game, really. Is that most of the things you will probably end up building will not be strictly to your liking, and don't force yourself to like what you've built. If you don't like it, then you don't like it, and that's legit. That's valid, darling. So yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of this thing. If anyone knows of any like good cram bombers on the workshop that I can go find, I would really appreciate it, because I don't think I've really found any. Yeah. Admittedly, I haven't looked recently. I remember, like, cram bombers... You know what it is? I think cram bombers were way more meta back before LAMs and missile interceptors and Seawiz could shoot down cram shells. Because that meant that small crams had a niche, so to speak. And you could put a little small cram on a little plane, and it could fly over, like Super Tweety style, basically. And it could be nice and cheap, and it could do a lot of damage for its cost and just be A-okay. And now, it's just not as good. You might as well use missiles. Because you'll actually save materials, because you don't need general-purpose processing power, because you don't need real detection on something that uses smart bombs. And the things aren't as likely to miss, so you save materials there. Incidentally, at some point I end up putting the jet engines on the wrong end of this thing, and that's hilarious. So this is me testing if the thing floats. It does, kind of, but doesn't float enough. I really don't think I should have built this whole thing out of metal. Should have made the whole thing floaty-floaty, so the thing can take off without needing balloons, because I try to use balloons, guys. I swear I try to use balloons. And you will see it. I even try and do stuff in the compartment that is filled with balloons. And yeah, this is right where I stick jet engines on the front, because I outplay myself, and the thing is, the thing looks exactly the frickin' same, both front and back. And give me a moment, I'll check and see that, yep, you dummy. You big fat dummy, you did a dum-dum. I shouldn't be too hard on myself. Alright, just do the blocks, BorderWise. Do the blocks in the way that you know and you like, and etc, etc. So there we go, we've got ducts, we've got ducks, quack. And, yeah, so I'm kind of pleased with this custom jet setup, because it works. And if nothing else, I end up mucking around with ACBs in order to get this thing to steer really well, so it's great, actually. Using ACBs and, like, the pitch and yaw, and, what's it? Yeah, I think it's just pitch and yaw on, like, Propulsion. You can actually make craft that steer themselves just entirely using their main thrust, and they don't need anything else, which is really good, and you better believe that I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that so much. So yeah, this is, also, I'm so happy. Here's the thing. I learn almost as much making guides and tutorials and putting them up on YouTube as people do watching them, because I put up what I know, and then in the comment section, really groovy people are saying, like, yeah, good vid, but did you know X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, no, I didn't know X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, gosh dang. I'm so glad that, I'm so glad you told me. So, custom jets are actually even easier than I thought, because, like, you know, all the extraneous bells and whistles, don't bother. You don't need them. You don't need the extra, like, extra intakes and all that kind of stuff, because you can just stick another jet engine in the exact same space that that uses, and it's, like, all groovy, baby. What decade is my slang from? I don't know. But anyway, so we got a lot of custom jets, and I forget to put fuel in, because I'm a genius like that. And there's a lot of intakes here. This is really good. I never got the hang before of those custom jet corners. Not corners, what am I talking about? Those custom jet, those ducted intakes and exhausts. But now I'm very fond of them because they're awesome. And so long as the exhaust is in the right place... Oh yeah, here's where I'm like, oh, you dummy. Thankfully that is a thing, so I didn't need to build this whole damn thing up from scratch, so... Yeah, that's very convenient. So here we've got this 4-footed thing that is way bigger than it should be. And what are we doing? What are you doing, BorderWise? What are you doing? You are... Alright, so this is where we muck around with balloons, and this doesn't work. So eventually, this in fact doesn't work so much that I eventually just give up, at least for this recording session. And I guess I have given up on the whole thing in general. I just give up on the whole getting balloons out of the air, because it's just the whole thing's too heavy. If I replaced all the metal with alloy, it would probably be light enough to do stuff. And here's where I'm a complete dummy, and I try and build inside the front compartment while it's filled with balloons, and I can't see anything. So minus 50 points from Gryffindor, BorderWise. Yeah, so this is very silly. Oh dear. Oh, cringe. Why did I do this? This is what, even when you're not talking, just the mere fact that the record button is recording, it means that you do feel kind of rushed to do stuff, so... Yeah, if you want to actually do a good job, I recommend not building stuff when it feels like someone's watching you, even if it is just your your recording software, because this is dumb. The reason I decided to go in there and do it the hard way is because I didn't want to delete those ACBs, even though I've got a prefab for them. They're easy to put back down again. And that's me trying again, and nope. Because you need to get this thing clean out of the water so the custom jets can fire, so that's a problem. So probably going to do something else. Oh dear. Oh dearie dearie me. What are you up to, BorderWise, now? What are you up to? Oh, right, roll control. That's what you're doing. Or more accurately, trying to figure out the center of drag. Because that's very important. Or, no, I know what I'm doing. Detection, because here's, like I said before, one of the main problems with using CRAM bombers, or APS bombers for that matter, is that unlike just using smart bombs, they need detection systems, which is not ideal. It's not ideal at all. So yeah, it's you have to put things like bearing rangefinders and cameras on them and all that stuff, and that's not great. It's not the worst, but it's not great either. You know what I should do? I should just essentially build a turret, a flat turret, and then stick jet engines on it, and that'll be my bomber. Excuse me. Today I was cleaning and I was sucking in dust a lot, so I'm dying slightly. Then again, everyone is dying. It's just some people are dying faster than others. And some people are closer to it, I guess. Okay, so glass. Glass. So I love armor and cameras with portholes. Seriously, the person who told me about that is, should be canonized as a saint, but better. But yeah, so it's like, I like to use portholes, I like to use glass, and, so yeah, so something I learned about trackers, because helpful people told me about it, is that, unlike the 360 detection of, like, radar, sonar, or, you know, yeah, the 360 camera, they need clearance, like, all around, so not just in the, 5 directions they can look in. Because things like trackers, like, they actually have a moving, I guess, beam that can be blocked by blocks. So, yeah, you need to surround them with stuff that they can see through. Otherwise, it doesn't work, mate. So there we go. Why did you do that? You need ailerons. Well done. So this is quite possibly one of the ugliest bombers I've ever made, but it's okay. Everything's gonna be okay, don't worry about it. Blurg. Maybe I'll just make something like a B-52, except each wing is just one giant CRAM system. That could be funny. It would also be really not durable, but that's okay. Yeah, maybe multiple bomber types would be good. Actually, if I can shout out a YouTube channel that is much more successful than mine, which is ass backwards. If you haven't watched the YouTube channel called Mustard, which covers like history of like engineering feats, mostly aircraft. But yeah, it's like it's amazing. I learned a lot watching those videos. In particular, things like, you know, why flying wings aren't more of a popular choice for aircraft, and like kind of learned that you know, autogyros are a thing. Autogyros, for those of you who don't know, they're kind of a weird cross between a plane and a helicopter, at least in how they look. But yeah, it's just a plane with like a free spinning rotor on top, which means that they go forward, the rotor spins. And then, oh yeah, so here's where I remember, like, you know what's a really good idea? Fuel tanks. And here's some sloped armor, just because. And, so yeah, I really want to make an autogyro or a rotodyne from the depths, but I don't it doesn't work like that, really. I mean, it could work, I guess. But, yeah, I suppose it could work, or not. But yeah, so here at least the thing flies. It does need yaw, though, so I actually have a moment earlier where this thing just seems to be actually out of control, and it's actually because I put the yaw the wrong way around. Like the yaw control. You know what I mean. So here, what am I doing? What is this? Alright, so pitch. Pitch command, adjust value, pitch is up. Okay, so this is where I'm setting the pitch command to the, what am I called, the propulsion components, which is very useful. So see, pitch command is up, is blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. And so that immediately I can tell that this should be swapped around. And take it out of the drink, because she cannot swim yet. And you can see the custom jets in the back there going crazy. I forget which Scarlet Dawncraft I poached that idea from, but it's absolutely brilliant. It's brilliant and I love it. And did you remember to put yaw in, BorderWise? No, you didn't. You damn fool. There's your yaw. And I seem to recall that... Yeah, I think I put these in backwards. Which is a problem. Yeah, so this thing actually does not steer the way I want it to. And that's a bit of a problem. And I don't... yeah, so you see how the lines are kind of like switching back and forth there? That's a sign that the things... your control isn't really set up correctly. And you can tell this because it flies away from the Marauder. Because the propulsion components are doing the opposite of what it wants to do. So yeah, that is a problem, and it takes me an embarrassingly long time to figure this out. Or maybe not. Let's see. Let's take your bets, people. How long will it take past BorderWise to figure this one out? So it's turning that off. Spread to neighbors. Okay, good. And nope, the yaw is still being weird, and that's no good. And let's see, is there anything in there? Nope. Nope. Still being very silly. No bueno. No bueno, senora. So that's me trying to manually steer it, and does not work. Does not work at all. And I think here is where I go and swap that around, because for whatever reason, I think I put them in upside down or something. And there we go. There we go. We have succeeded. Okay, I can already picture in my mind much better CRAM bomber in my brain. So yeah. So that's the point where I'm like, oh, this might actually work. Because that just one-shot a Marauder, easy peasy. Admittedly, the Marauder is not the hardest target. And now, as a test of the durability and firepower of this thing, I try and... excuse me. I try and test it against something a bit bigger and meaner, aka the Kraken. So, what are you up to now, BorderWise? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, lad? Aha! More jets, because this thing needs to be faster. I do love the small custom jets, because I use them far more than I use the large ones. Simply because they're so small, and you can make things flat, and it's really beautiful. And yeah, can confirm that is working. That's very nice. And I'm trying to figure out what orientation these things should be. And the answer is not what you think, because I've done weird things. There we go. You figured it out. You figured it out, laddie. There you go. Blurg. Alright, so now we're humming along over 130 meters per second, which is very convenient. Are you going to stick exhausts on those, is the question. Nope, but you are going to stick more of them on there. And this is very much, this thing isn't going to get shot at from above. Not at all. I didn't end up even putting missile defense on this thing, by the way. Because, well, didn't really get that far. Declared it a failed prototype. But... like all good prototypes, I managed to test stuff and learn stuff, so it's not a complete failure. It's not a complete failure, mate. So yeah, so here we have the Kraken, and the Kraken is what I'm testing against because this thing should be reasonably flak-proof, and of course the bloody guns are not firing, and I don't know why. I didn't actually manage to figure out why. I think it's just because they weren't aligned properly. But can confirm that the Kraken is having real trouble shooting this. Oh boy. Hey, listening to the Kraken sped up sounds quite funny. Yeah, CRAM bombers. Ugh. I mean, planes, man, they're hard. There's a reason why, you know, sticking missiles on them is just better. Because the missile, you know, you'd make a good missile, it doesn't matter how crappy the plane is. Like, you know, if you could stick a modern Sidewinder missile onto a Spitfire, and probably... actually, you probably couldn't do that, because you need to have, like, good radar on the thing as well. But you know what I mean, right? If you maybe stuck Stinger missiles on the, on, like, you know, the 1940 Spitfire, the thing would be an absolute menace to, certainly modern helicopters, at least. Or not, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I'm not that good at, plane stuff. Alright, so... now we are doing stuff with yore. In the days of yore, we did stuff. Alright, so you need to change that. Well done. Well done, laddie. Well done, laddie, indeed. Alright, so that, at the very least, that ACV setup is a beautiful, although, like, you will get kind of sick by watching your custom jets twerk like that. Ooh. Oof. Ugh, making me sick. So they're going absolutely nutty. So that's beautiful. Now we're flying overhead, and the guns, once again, do not fire. Because I don't even know why. Like, it's, you know, everything's doing what it's supposed to, but it doesn't do it. So I'm not happy. Might just end up making something like an AC-130 gunship for the purposes of my CRAM Nita playthrough. Because that's a lot easier, because you just build a plane and then stick a whole bunch of CRAMs on one side of it, and the thing does absolutely hunky-dory. And there we go, except we actually did manage to do something. Managed to pop a thing. And of course, what's getting shot at is the vulnerable stuff on the side, which I'm not okay with. And the guns were aiming, but they didn't fire in time, so that's another problem with CRAMs. They don't play well when you, stick them on very fast craft. And, oh, here, by the way, we're, testing direct line fire because somebody suggested that I try that with CRAM bombers, and kind of works, but also kind of didn't. So, actually thinking back, that did work kind of well. So, I have to see. I think I'm waiting for one more pass to see if that works again. And it did actually work, so maybe I should have stuck with that. Huh, hindsight is 2020, and reviewing the footages for 2020 as well. Let's see, I think one more pass, is that going to do it? And missed. Which is annoying. If I had made something of the same cost with large missiles, the Kraken would have shot all the missiles down, so it would have been a complete waste of time anyway, and there we go. I think I was distracted by the shot that missed, so I don't know why, but looking at that, I thought to myself, like, well, that's not working. Actually, no, it did work. I was satisfied with that. I don't remember my own video. So yeah, that's basically it for this round Let's Play. Maybe I should come back to this. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Whether I should keep going with this particular prototype and try and make it work, or whether I should scrap it and, you know, try and make something else. Let me know what you think. And thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you want to see more videos like this, support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps, and there's fun perks in it for you. Thank you to all my current supporters, and I will see you next time in From the Depths. Let's build. Farewell.